Hello friends, I am presenting here a very interesting one which I have found in my recent travel to a place called Tirukkadaiyur. CorporateMOM Travelogue locates the energy force for SOS governance due diligence. Please lend me your ears.
Copyright CorporateMOM Corporate Management Orbiter Mission.
Recently, myself and my wife with children visited Tirukkadaiyur on 2nd October 2023 to celebrate my 80th star birthday. Grand celebration by several families. The reigning temple priest of the day invited us near the Sanctum Sanctorum, gave us two garlands that my wife and I exchanged three times. It was a pleasant surprise with divine blessings. Tirukkadaiyur is a village 300 kilometers south of Chennai. The history of the village is associated with the legends of Markandeya and Abhirami Bhattar, the priest of goddess Abhirami. The village is centered around Amrita Ghateshwar, Abhirami temple of Tirukkadaiyur, where devotees throng daily to celebrate their literal marriage. Again, on completion of the age of 60 or age of 70 or age of 80 years. It is a continuous process every day, full of sort of marriage festivals going on from morning to evening. Very interesting one. My observation and learning I share with you. Number one, intangible. I'll tell you first about Abhirami Bhattar was a priest during the time Sarboji Maharaja visited the temple. Seeing Abhirami Bhattar's quirky behavior, he inquired and got to know from one that he was a madman, whereas another mentioned he was a great devotee of goddess Abhirami. He asked Abhirami Bhattar to test him on what day today would be, new moon or full moon day. Abhirami Bhattar replied it was a full moon day, whereas it was Amavasya, is a new moon day. The king rode off, informing the farmer that he would have his head cut off if the moon did not appear in the sky by 6 in the night. Realizing his mistake, Abhirami Bhattar supposedly lit a huge fire and erected a platform over it, supported by 100 ropes. He sat on the platform and prayed to the goddess Abhirami to save him. He cut off one rope after another in succession on completion of each verse of his prayer. These hymns form the Abhirami Andhadi. On completion of the 79th hymn, goddess Abhirami herself appeared before him and threw her earring over the sky such that it shone with bright light upon the horizon. The area around the temple sparkled with bright light. Overcome with ecstasy, he composed 21 more verses in praise of the goddess. The king repented his mistake and immediately cancelled his punishment he had awarded. He also bestowed upon the latter the title of Abhirami Bhattar, or the priest of goddess Abhirami. It's a very interesting event. It's not a story or a myth. Let me take you to my own book, one of the pages. It's called Return on the Intangible. where I mentioned David Eagleman, an adjunct professor at Stanford University. If you take a cubic centimeter of one's brain tissue, there are as many connections between them as there are stars in the Milky Way, in the galaxy. For example, the astronomer Carl Sagan famously said that there were more stars in our universe than the grains of sand in all the Earth's beaches. These strange alien landscapes of neurons and synapses. That's what David Eagleman said. Amazing in terms of numbers. Somehow, with strange materials, map onto our decision making. David Eagleman says he talks of the sheer number of such connections, neurons and synapses in a single brain, existing in such density, it bankrupts our language that we have to invent new types of mathematics to even address this. Why I tell this is when we talk of think of Abhirami Bhatta, who could bring goddess Abhirami to bring brightness on a new moon day. It is possible. It is nothing to be doubted about it. That is our capability. Whether he's a potter or a nuclear scientist, now one single brain has a single tissue. What Eagleman says is about 1 cubic centimeter of the vortex is more than that of the stars in the galaxy. It's quite astonishing. So when I had defined intangible, that is a power. That is a power that every one of us have, and we a single individual, the person whom you see next, he has got the equal capability of bringing what Abhirami Bhatta had done. It is feasible, and we are talking about 75% of the companies are not up to the mark with regard to the ESG assurance. So the intangible is defined as an effort, the energy force applied for a specific task, creative as well as action, having an identifiable goal, enabled by the factors for the task accomplishment and measured by defined performance criteria. What is important in this particular thing is our capability is amazingly huge of any humankind, anybody, not simply CEOs and one of the topmost industrialists or something. They have possibly have something different, but every one of us have that. Is very important. That is the one which I learned from the first chapter, the first incident, which I want to share with you on the intangible. The second observation which I want to share with you, what I have learned, is everlasting, eternal, which we have come to know these days. Sustainability is another event. In Hindu is not a mythology. In Hinduism is such events had happened in the past. There's a Mahabharata, Ramayana. These are the real events that have happened. Why do we say that? It is because of what we have seen. Men who have beyond the 10 dimensions or 11 dimensions, God themselves have come. Yada yada dharmashya. They come and walk with us. In our own case, we have seen not one or two, hundreds and hundreds of who have seen the sage of Kanchi. They are real gods. When they say, that's the end of it. It is not an iota of doubt that one has. And such men, we have moved with them. And that is very important for learning and absorbing what we have seen in a place like which I had traveled, Tirukkadaiyur. So that belief, not just a belief, is a question of not taking for granted. We know it because of what we have seen or moved with persons like what we call Mahapariva. So another incident which very famous for this particular temple is Markandeya. As I said, is everlasting, eternal, sustainability. That is the one which I have learned, which I want to share with you. Shiva appeared before the couple, Mrikandu and Marudmati. They were the couple, and he told them that he heard their prayers and would give them a choice. They could either have a gifted son who would live only up to 16 years, or a son of low intelligence who would live a longer life. Mrikandu and Marudmati chose the former and had Markandeya, an exemplary son destined to die at the age of 16. On the day he was destined to die, Yama, the deity of death, appeared with his noose in his hand to tie around the soul of Markandeya and take it away with him. Markandeya sought refuge in the temple and embraced the Shiva Lingam. Shiva appeared and warned Yama not to touch Markandeya, as he was under his protection. Yama refused to listen and threw the noose, binding both Markandeya and the lingam together. Angered by Yama's extraordinary arrogance, Shiva kicked and held him under his foot, thereby making him inactive. Markandeya was blessed by Shiva to remain 16 years old eternally. I've seen, we all went on that particular day to see that when the priest was mentioning about it, gave all that information about what it is, and there is a place where Yama has been brought to a very small this thing. Pressed by the feet of Shiva. We are not supposed to go very near to that place. We went from a distance place, had a look at it. But these are the things which had actually happened. So this is what I would like to look at it as a possible second area when we the everlasting sustainability area. Coming back from Tirukkadaiyur, I posted my review of KPMG Road to Readiness, KPMG ESG Assurance Maturity Index 2023, which many of you have come and had a good look at it. I am grateful to you all. It's a good report from KPMG calling upon companies to adopt the sustainability of all the 17 SDGs. CorporateMOM looks at the maturity model as an ecosystem of 74% of companies KPMG surveyed to align with the ecosystem of nature, which is exacting benchmarks that is everlasting and eternal, as Markandeya reminds us. What is important is that ecosystem which we use very easily these days is tough in the sense it has got a standard. Our ecosystem, the individuals who play around as they like, they would like to have that ecosystem connected to the ecosystem. So that is the aim of this thing. Once, my CorporateMOM does, and that ecosystem is the one that has to be refined and bring about a standard, the standard which is the benchmarks and as well as the metrics, which are everlasting metrics. So that reminds us the Markandeyan syndrome. You can easily get through that, knowing from what we have seen in the first incident, where it is an amazing capability of every individual, as I said, from the potter to the nuclear scientist. The third one, my observation, is about the energy force. It's a very interesting one. Please have a look at it. Goddess Abhirami. We had the darshan of Goddess Abhirami as the same goddess who brought brightness to the sky. Goddess Abhirami looks at the east. Going around the corridor, we bowed at the southern side, the goddess of Icha Shakti. At the west, the goddess of Jnana Shakti. And at the north, the goddess of Kriya Shakti. When I went through the corridor, I could instantly connect page 74 of my book to Dhirubhai's vision statement. As I have given here, please take a time to look at it. Icha Shakti is our dreams have to be bigger and our ambitions higher. Jnana Shakti is our commitment deeper. And Kriya Shakti is our efforts greater. I give a small explanation about it. First is Icha Shakti. Our dreams have to be bigger and our ambitions higher. Let me quote from KPMG ESG Maturity. 75% of the companies surveyed are in the early stages of ESG maturity and therefore less ready for ESG assurance. To quote from the KPMG Road to Readiness, but now the rules and market demands are changing. And what was once done at the company's discretion is now becoming mandatory and subject to independent third-party assurance. Time is of essence as sustainability reporting frameworks come into force. Unquote. Where the rules are changing, 75% of the companies survey should take note of. As the BART says, it induces the desire but takes away the performance. What would induce the desire in some cases is the rules. But in the majority of the cases, how would it benefit the company would be the lingering question. Not an ethical motive, but a profit motive that induces the desire where companies are involved. Now we have come to the second stage from Icha Shakti, where it induces the desire, to Jnana Shakti. It's a good progress in the sense we are not jumping from a desire to Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti is there, no doubt, but in between the Jnana Shakti has been put by, this is what I learned while going around that Abhirami temple. Jnana Shakti becomes before the Kriya Shakti. We got to plan. The planning is important, and this is what Jnana Shakti gives, is the knowledge is the goal of ethics. Jnana Shakti is our commitment deeper, as Dhirubhai says. For example, the Food and Drug Administration FDA Modernization Act of 1997. I went through that when first it came, that internet came, 1995. I was the first user of internet. I think these fellows gave BOM AAA 001, the number they gave before all the other guys. I got it. I went through everything, and the FDA came at that time. It was a wonderful analytics being enacted. Solicited comments from all the stakeholders, including the public globally. FDA rules are rules where a rule expresses the truth, and when it is being certified to have been followed as prescribed, then it justifies the conduct. That truth is ethics, and that conduct is knowledge. Therefore, knowledge is the goal of ethics, justifying the conduct of men and women workforce. It's very important. We are not justifying the conduct. We have the rules, plenty of them. But who did what? Nobody knows about it. That's why corporate mom is very important. And Jnana Shakti is, I could easily connect with that, why it has been put before the Kriya Shakti. That is quantum physics. The economic system is not just quantitative, but inclusive of qualitative elements of management that are part of inseparable, all-inclusive elements of management. That's what I had written earlier, unquote, my book extract. The quality of a substance cannot be separated from it, nor the work associated with it. So profit motive cannot be separated from the ethical motive. That's what we found in the Icha Shakti. Ethical motive was missing. Profit motive was at the forefront. If ESG assurance has to come, 75% of the companies, they're not ready to go for it because they are looking for a profit motive. If you look at the ethical motive of it, profit comes later. First, ethical aspects have to be looked into. That's what I mentioned here. Both are inseparable, but the ground reality of corporate profit motives needs a drastic change. I'll give 2 examples. Example 1. In my review of KPMG ESG Assurance, a review which I had put through the posts, I pinpointed the inadequacy of Investee. Later I had a discussion with the Investee vendor DD prepared by one of the big 4 firms. We had a meeting, a Zoom call. This is about US $300 million in funding for the Investee company. Vendor DD does not take into account the 5-year projected business plan. I told the big 4 of their vendor DD the limitations and how could an investor could make a decision on the basis of the vendor DD. In my opinion, the big 4 has failed the Investee company by bringing out a due diligence report not more than an audited report. Not only on this case, but in general, vendor DD prepared by all the service providers have this lacuna. Both the Investee company and the big 4 were upset with me in this meeting because I raised a lot of questions. I am an intermediary between an investor and an Investee company. There are about 400,000 chartered accountants in India and my membership number is 8466. Nearing 98% of the chartered accountants are emerged after my becoming a CA. Big 4 firms are full of chartered accountants. They are the leaders of the service providers. Ethically, morally, and fairly, they are bound to match an investor and an investee's capability to perform as the main focus of a vendor DD. The big 4 firms is a vendor, meaning they are selling a product, right? So this is a very critical aspect of our what do you call the vendor promoting a Investee company for asking a interested investor. A lot of things have to be done, which I will just mention what had not been done, what will be the effect. Example 2, the pension markets in focus preliminary 2022 data, June 2023, OECD pension funds for the year ending 2022 stood at 48.1 trillion US dollars, down by 15.6% over the previous year. That is down by 8.89 US dollars, 8.89 trillion US dollars. Many countries like Denmark and Ireland, whose pension funds are double the GDP, lost heavily. So is the case in India, like Ireland FS. OECD pension funds investments are in collective investment schemes, CIS, and the look through of these investments is in equities, bills and bonds, cash and deposits and others. The 8.89 trillion loss, 8.89 trillion US dollars loss on valuation can be attributed to the finding of investee companies whose capabilities are not thoroughly assessed. At that stage, the bottom level, when the investee company wants to, could be a startup, come through the this thing, and by the time they come and start their work operations, the investee company should be in a position to bring profit. Profit motive is important. So hence, FinDD is just some statistics, but FinDD should bring in the governance factors of the investee company. SOS governance, which is subject, object, self-governance, that includes ESG assurance. Then apply project merit, measure, record, implement and track the investee company's workforce performance. Service providers, particularly the big four, who emerge from audit backgrounds, must change and then give a lead. Incorporate SOS governance standards in the vendor DD and give the opinion regarding the 5-year business plan. FAC, that is fiscal ethical co-responsibility reports. Big four firms should be able to create a knowledge base of companies they promote for funding or M&A, etc. That is Jnana Shakti. I realize Jnana Shakti is placed next to the Icha Shakti. That is, do the proper planning and go for action, which is Kriya Shakti. That I will come to that next. So Jnana Shakti is a very critical area where we have to carefully look into, particularly the big four firms. They have to give a lead. I can talk of very many things that has happened in the past, which mainly these big four firms, instead of giving a lead, they have not done well. This is a time to take note of what the responsibility, ethical responsibility of the big four firms. KPMG's survey report is excellent. That is not enough. What KPMG themselves are in a position to deliver in terms of taking the ethical responsibility between investor and the investee, between the buyer and the M&A equation, between every other area of fund management. It is the big four firms have to give a lead. The ethical responsibility of the FAC report of these big four firms must be produced so that 400,000 chartered accountants are in a position to look into it as a benchmark, not the other way around. Okay. Next is the last is Kriya Shakti. Our efforts greater. That's action plan. I'm giving here, as I had earlier given, every company, be it a big four firm or an investor company or an investor company, have to prepare this fiscal and ethical co-responsibility framework. Track of entanglement. Track of entanglement is that, as I said, ethical motive and profit motive are integrated. You cannot remove the quality out of an object without the work performed by it. It's very important. What it means, the work, that is the Kriya Shakti. In this case, I have put as the X teams into 5, the 5X workforce, making, you may have 100,000 people. The denominator is the return on intangible, action or inaction. Numerator is action or inaction, denominator is intangible. So you have a binary value of every task, every action that is being done by every individual of every task. So you have a dt by dt, what has been the series of tasks being finished or completed in series of time. And that is the one which is very essential. Main equity plus women equity, and everything has to be done for each and every individual. We are not talking about company. The company is in terms of something. It could be the investee company or investor company. But within that, if there are 100,000 people, the 100,000 people, what do they do? That is Kriya Shakti. Each is very capable. Each is a Brahmi Bhatta capability that they have. They can make the darkness to brightness in no time if they put their mind into it. They have all that capable to do that. The ESG governance, if it has to come from the people. The people within, if they are in a position to do that, we have an amazing transformation that will come within the companies in enlarging our profit motive with ethical motive attached to it. That's my learning from my trip to Tirukkadaiyur. It was a good trip. We enjoyed it, and I hope any of you, because most important thing is not the company, is the individual. You, your family, visit to that place anytime. Go to if you have parents or somebody who have reached age of 80 or 70 or 60, take them and visit them. That particular is a very enjoyable place, and you will enjoy it. And that is what is needed: the Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti and Icha Shakti. That is a desire. Icha Shakti is desire. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.